gonna lie, it just kind of looks good. It feels good. No, it's not the London. No. We have a different system for you. One that I'm hopeful it's easy to learn and replicate. So let's see what you think of it, and let's see how it works at 800. All right, let's go. All right, let's make sure to play our system properly here. D4, we're going to start with knight F6. It can be played with the white pieces and the black pieces. Let's go D6 here. E3. Knight D7. So we want to play E5, and I've been kind of waiting for something like this to happen, where maybe our opponents try to make it a bit difficult to play. They can never actually prevent us, which is the nice thing about this system. I will say here, there's a full other option of playing knight H5, because due to this pawn, we actually may get our hands on that bishop. So as I move up the ranks, I may be a little bit more interested in a quick knight H5 here. But for now, I'm just going to play C6. Very much in line with the moves that we want to play in our system here. And next move, Queen C7. Our opponent also has a system, so this is system against system right now. We can play E5, but we definitely want to play... That's a weird move right there. We want to play this with getting E5 in, and keeping in mind the goal is really to take that dark square bishop. So we're going at each other here, system v system. I don't understand this Queen A4 move, I have to say. We've already played C6. It doesn't really do anything. White's most likely just going to retreat that bishop to G3. Can't see a better move. I can see a worse one though. Isn't it amazing, guys? I play this system. I'm literally minding my own business. I'm not doing anything. Why do they always take on E5? I mean, no disrespect, but can't you count? Like, they all do it. Why do they do it the exact same way? They always blunder. Don't tell me, like, what are we cooking up here? Don't tell me it's this. I'm struggling here. Bruh. What is this? These guys are like max creativity. I mean, in some ways it's genius, but in every other way it's not. Like, I see the vision, but I don't really see the vision. I'm just saying, guys, I'm sitting here truly minding my own business. Truly minding my own business. I'm not trying to like beat the guy with tactics. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, GM, crushes noob, easy dub, like take him out back, do him dirty. No, I'm just trying to play my opening system. Not trying to cause any problems. And then I'm sitting here on move 13 and I'm up the bishop pair. Like I just got an extra bishop pair. This was not my intention. We're supposed to play a nice slow moving game. No problemo. This was an accident, is what I'm trying to say. A full accident. Ooh, respect. We can play this one to get it out this way. We can play this one to get it out that way. This one to take on A4. I feel like that's a pretty high yield move, but we'll go with the tried and true. Especially because that will get me an extra trade, which I'm happy with. But yeah, we got too many people trying to do too many things here. Okay, it's smart of him to refuse the trade, so I'll definitely give him some credit there. Do not want to trade pieces in general when you're down 2 of them. Definitely the right decision from our friendly Canadian opponent here. A5. Let's get castled. Keep it simple. But yeah, 2 extra bishops. Oh no, he goes for the trade now. All the credit I handed you, I take it back. No, I can't give you credit for that one, bud. Oh, this is... Oh, no. Oh, no. We're maybe eyeballing some stuff over here. Couple checks. Let's give a check. Kind of curious where he decides to go here. Because it's possible that he kind of just like walks himself into some mates. I mean, I assume we'll see this, but you know, the possibility is indeed always there. I can see the potential here. It's a good move there. We'll just take a step back for the moment. Maybe G5 could be one of the nicer moves here. These bishops are pretty nasty. I would say at this point, King H8 and Rook G8 is the way to go. And yeah, with Rook takes G2 here. Should lead to some sort of mate soon. GG to got silver. GG, buddy. Tough one, tough one. But guys, I'm really excited to get to some middle games and really get into the system here. But I'm sitting here, I'm playing E5, and they're just taking it for no reason. Of course, I'm expecting Bishop G3. So just to let you know, as soon as we're in a position like this, I decided to play this, keep it really systematic at first, but definitely against someone a bit higher rated, or eventually in this series, you'll see me play Knight H5 because the bishop just can't escape at this point. Like, it can't escape being captured. And this is also pretty nice. But C6 and sticking with this plan is more than fine. It's just, even here after Bishop G3, I'd probably play Knight H5 and try to take the bishop. So we'll see in general how the London goes in the future. Got silver, did not get silver. He did though, didn't he? He finished second place in this game. Not a bad result. Is this line in the course? Yes, this early d6 move is discussed in depth in the course. Apart from many variations that are important, I would say the summary is H3 saves lives. Queen A4 definitely not in the course. That's correct. That is correct. All right. Here we go. We have E4, which means we're not just going to play Knight F6, but we're going to play D6 first. E5. If you guys remember, we've seen this played in this series so far. And why did we say we are not concerned at all? Because we take, we trade. We've already played this, literally just memory at this point. Knight G4. People are sometimes in a panic to defend this pawn. They dropped that. And if they're in a panic to defend that pawn, they drop this. Either way, you're winning a pawn and you're just immediately crushing from the opening. White's just hyperactive, trying to play E5, thinking they're just going to win your piece outright. I mean, it's nonsense. Take, Knight G4, and the game's already over. Goes Knight F4. We could honestly go back at this point. Not sure if that's really the best option here, but it's definitely a consideration. Most likely a king move kind of handles things there, though. But the one thing about this is it brings the knight back to maybe the f6 square, which is a little bit more standard. And then we can go, okay, he actually retreats his knight, which is kind of funny. We'll just develop knight h3. I didn't expect that one. Bishop there. Let's just break the pin and get ready to castle. I already mentioned we're bringing our knight back to the f6 square. So let's do that. Okay, knight c3. So I think it's probably time to make this threat. He actually plays knight here, which accidentally may have defended everything. I don't know. I don't know what he saw. Don't know what he thought he saw. But I think he accidentally defended everything all at once. Okay, I'm going to go bishop f5 check. It looks like something. I don't really see a better... Oh, no. I was going to say, I don't really see a better move for me. We're going to take a free piece, though. That I will do. But guys, if people play e4, d4, and then just e5 on you in the opening, and believe me, they will. There's not going to be a case where that just like does not exist. So that will happen. Just be prepared for it. Take, trade queens, knight g4, and you'll just be crushing. Okay, what can we do here? We have this hanging, this hanging, this hanging, this hanging, but so is our bishop, so it's kind of tough to say. I feel like at this point, honestly, just going straight back with bishop to g6 might yield the best result, but okay. I'll take with check first. And I think we'll take this knight after. Yeah, it was helpful to get a trade in. And honestly, at this point, I'm not too sure which move to do. Oh, okay, I was expecting this. That got played instead. Knight takes the rook is definitely one of the better looking moves, but knight takes bishop. I'd rather, instead of winning a rook and losing a knight, I'd rather just take a free piece. And yeah, this should be a winning position now. Let's get the rest of our pieces out if we can. Okay, b4. Probably just taking is sufficient. First of all, I can definitely see that bishop being too far away. But on top of that, I think a3, knight d3 is a nice way to do things. I have knight c3 next after king e2, which does look possible. Bring in some artillery here. I think takes in knight e2 is going to be fairly convincing. Whether or, if he takes this knight or this knight, it doesn't matter. There's a knight going to e2. Sadly. And yeah, as I've been saying, the nice thing about this opening is it doesn't matter if you're white or black, you can make it work. Okay, we'll just clean up these pawns here. And 20 seconds should be more than enough time. We've done more with less. Maybe this will be the easiest just to take that, but I could also see him blundering knight f6. Check. Checkmate. GG. What can we say about this opening? Well, you guys know exactly what's going to be discussed. e5 is not a good move. The best thing about it, you're going to see people play it against you. That's a fact. There's no way you go from 400 to 1000 without seeing this numerous times. We've already encountered it a few times in this speedrun. It's just going to happen. It's very tempting. Low-rated players, like, they move their pawns in the center. They got the central control. They're like, oh, I see a knight. Let me target that. Don't worry. I've already prepared you for that. They're going to play it. We're going to take, and you're going to be swimming in this position because this is completely over. We've already had someone defend this pawn and then just lose the rook. Now we had someone defend the f2 pawn, and then they lost the center pawn. Either way, it's completely dead. So there you go. All right, we get to see the opening with the white pieces now. I like starting with knight f3. Okay, I can't say that this move is particularly good. Against f6, it's very difficult for me not to play e4 because you can only expect e5, which we'll lose on the spot. So, 1f6 is definitely not the move I would say. If you're really trying to play the opening, I would say you go something like this. But against the move f6, I have to say I'm curious after this if we're going to see e5, and we do. We're going to have to take. People who play f6 deserve nothing but punishment. And remember, e4 is very much in the wheelhouse of our opening, so we're not upset to be playing it. Not at all, right? That's a move that we play anyway. Now, we pretty much just want to get the bishop to h6, and then we'll be all good here. He could have taken us with check, but now we have the choice, bishop g5 or bishop h6. I think it's much simpler to play bishop h6 because we feel like we're kind of getting developed there. But the other way you could think of it is bishop g5 with the pin, knight d7, and then maybe knight c3 with knight d5 coming. That looks pretty darn convincing as well. Not sure which one I like more, but bishop g5 is, it's very threatening, so I'll make the move that makes a threat. Bishop h6 threatens to trade. That's not a real threat. Knight c3 next, long castle, and yeah, we're never worried about our queen getting trapped. I shouldn't say never worried, but for the moment it feels like we're okay, just because the bishop can never move. We see this, unfortunately for my opponent, it's not really going to stop the move that I was intending, and this should be problematic here because you're going to lose a queen this way. And of course, if not losing a queen, it'll be, I wouldn't say something just as bad, but definitely something that's not good. Losing a full piece. So, what should we play here? Bishop takes, knight takes. Knight takes is a check, so feels like that's a good one to stick with. No, there's a free pawn, but you're not going to see me refuse a piece trade. When up a rook, by the way, right? Count these up, they're even, and we just have that extra rook there. I'll stick with our castling habits. And yeah, we're up a rook. Don't need to do anything special at this point. Just, push some pawns maybe. Try to trade some pieces if possible. I'll play the nice move a4 here. Just lock everything up. And then we can continue. We like the look of g5. Oh, we like it more now. Thank you kindly. Maybe we can get a nice little mate here for the home crowd fans. Oh yeah, this is what the people like. GG. Now, obviously, I wouldn't say we went too far off script here because, yeah, our setup is d3, knight d2, e4, but for sure the move f6 is a terrible starting move. In fact, one of the worst in the game, and e5 is just a horrible follow-up. It loses on the spot to this. And that's it. That's all you need to know about that. Thank you, Simster, for the 18 months. Onwards and upwards. Okay, against d4, we'll go with the knight first. d6 next. Okay, we're playing against another London. Knight d7, c6. So we've actually seen this before. Again, knight h5 will probably happen in time, but for the moment, I'm just going to play this, like, just to get the pieces on the board here. It's a little bit fortunate that our opponent played in the way they did, because they might be bailed out of losing a piece here just by luck. You know, because it is pinned, but it's quite possible that they play this, or apologies, I forgot, the 800 level theory, just hanging a knight for no reason. This is like every single person plays it against me. You can't tell me that you're not going to see this in your games. I'm sitting here. They don't know. This is a GM. They're all doing it. Go play this opening right now. I'm telling you, this free pieces are waiting for you. Let's unpin here. Okay. I think we're happy to take that. It's a trade after all. Hard to say no to making a mate threat. We have a couple good ways to refute it with tempo. Also, knight g6 goes for yet another trade. So I have to say I'm pretty tempted by that as well, but I like f5. I like the move f5. Bishop doesn't really have a square to go to without allowing me to trade. And believe me, I'm going to trade because we get to trade all the pieces. Now we just have that one extra bishop. Great next move would be queen to g4, because the queen has no choice but to trade with me. And even though there's a free pawn there, nothing is more important than forcing the queens to be traded, and that should be an easy win. And now we have this extra bishop. Let's centralize it. This looks like a wicked strong piece right there. Rook e8, and yeah, most likely going to settle that bishop on the f3 square, and yeah, look to punch something home here. We can do the little stutter step, bishop f3, looking menacing with the rook in there, and then in case our poor opponent decides to play that, we can continue our journey to the g2 square. Yeah, I like this bishop on f3 here. Fantastic piece. And yeah, opponent is pretty much stuck. Can't move. Don't blame them on the resignation. Don't blame them on leaving the game either. Either way, a dub is a dub. d4 knight f6. So this is, and we're going to see lots of Londons, guys. So, you know, you definitely want to pay attention to how the London is handled. So far, we haven't seen great examples. 100% of the games we've faced the London, we've won a piece in 8 moves. So that's all I can say. London has not been very successful against us so far. All right, this is our setup, but I like to get it by first going with knight to f3, then bringing the knight in, and of course now we want to push into e4, always taking back with the pawn. So it goes with the knight. Usually here I just like to go for the unpin, keep it simple. Like I said, always taking back with the pawn. Our bishop on e2, castling. Remember, we want to play this move c3, sort of all part of the plan there. h3 is a nice move to throw in, but once more, I'm just going to complete our setup here. Some nice pieces. He's a little bit fortunate that e5 doesn't work. I don't know if he's like spotted e5 and realized he has it covered. Maybe not, but either way, he does put the bishop on a pretty nice square there. Let's keep it simple and castle. Okay, we can go rook e1. At this point, though, is exactly where we usually start throwing the queenside pawns up the board. So definitely going to continue that with a4. I like rook e1 a lot. In this case, I think I'm probably considering a5 because we can follow up with knight c4. And yeah, opponent has held on to all their pieces So in general, have to be happy for them. Knight there. Let's go rook e1. Defend this bishop, which will give me the power to capture. Next turn, he decides to take. I think we can take that back. Go for another trade. And also, don't tell him, but I'm threatening e5. I think he's going to see it, but that's all right with me. I'm pretty happy with how the position has gone so far. b4 looks normal. Chase that bishop away. And yeah, this is, I mean, he's played well, but again, I can't be too upset with the type of position that we got here, right? This is probably a position that I'd be happy to get every single time I play the opening. Got some queenside space. I'm bringing pieces into the middle, right? Got my rooks here. Space on the queen side. A bit more of a claim to the center. I gotta be happy. Okay. Bishop d6. Bishop e5. Bishop g5. Bishop h2. Lots of different ways to continue. I'll probably go here. Feels like cementing that piece in with a move like e5 could be pretty nice. Maybe there'll be a queen trade here, depending on what move he does. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I like that one a lot. Queen trade there. I'm very close to winning a knight, by the way. Knight can only go to g3 or f4 there. So what I think I actually might do is just try to close things up like this. Okay, he's rescuing his knight. I respect it. It is going to come maybe at the cost of that pawn right there. I think I'm probably going to continue this plan. All right, let's see if we can execute this plan here. Going rook d4. Trying my best to cover that last square and then play g4. But, you know, once again, power to Alexander. Ooh, man. That's what I've learned. Never hand out compliments. They play worse after. I've never handed out a compliment to a lower rated player and then seen them play a good move. Unfortunately, this move doesn't look like a big blunder, but it's probably up there with a pretty serious blunder. Just because the implication is so significant. Yeah, he's trying to get out of things. I don't think it's gonna work. Maybe we could even play this one first in order to potentially get a checkmate with a pawn. This might work. Obviously, taking here is the way to go, guys, but I have to say, I was interested in this one, thinking, okay, maybe there's a way to finesse a pawn checkmate here. Maybe h4 first. Let's see if we can get away with it. He's been playing well. Gives us the satisfaction. GG. GG. Ending with a pawn checkmate. Very satisfying. Very satisfying. Even though we had a plan there, you know, I give you this position, and honestly, by the engine, this is like a +2, +3 position. It doesn't feel like it, but don't underestimate the power of gaining space over here. This is why it's one of the main plans in the middle game. So what's the point of playing this opening system? First of all, your first couple moves are taken care of, right? The whole system is this. You're already looking at it. d3, c3, e4 with the pieces developing like this. That's the system. From there, what do? Maybe h3 if we're being pinned. Castling for sure. Rook on e1 most of the time. Maybe on d1, but I like to leave that for the other rook. So rook on e1. And then it's time for a4, b4, maybe a5. This knight often jumps into c4, and from there, you're just in the middle game. You're in the swing of things. So it's not just a system where you play your opening moves and then you're on your own. No, you play your opening moves, but then you're in a middle game where most of your middle game moves are going to be the same as well. The plans are very memorable. Let's continue. e4. You know that we like to play d6 in order to cover that. as soon as I play d6, I feel comfortable moving my knight to attack that pawn. It gets defended. White's playing well right now, but once again, we get to play our e5 move. White plays d5. I'm not too bothered by this. I think at this point, we just kind of castle, and we can still continue with c6. Nothing really stopping us from doing that. So, yeah, we've got our same setup here. Nothing changes. h3, very solid here. I think it's time to play c6. It could be a different move, but I think this is fine. Takes, we can recapture. We got a habits enjoyer here. Absolutely. I would say that d5 is probably not great from the opponent, but most of the other moves have been good, so can't say it's all been bad or anything. All right. Realistically, this move is probably not that good, but let's see. I wonder if we play here and a5, how White's going to react. I feel like this was to play bishop there, but I could be completely wrong. I'll play knight here, and maybe our bishop gets to e6. I was expecting that it would not. And after b5, I think a4 is a big problem here. But you can see, once we get our opening moves out, from there, we usually do stuff on the queen side, whether it's queen development, in this case, pushing a5. I didn't really have a b5 pawn to push, so that's why I didn't. But that makes a lot of sense. a4, how should we handle things? We can go bishop there. I would say most likely a move like d5 is where we want to go next with this position. I like a knight on c5. I love the move bishop here, but I don't like trapping my rook. That doesn't feel great. So I'm just going to continue with one of our more typical moves, queen c7. I think I want to bring my rook like just kind of back to safety. Maybe bishop a6, and most importantly, a knight on c5, which has sort of been a staple of every position I've played so far. So I'll probably continue with that. Bishop a6 or knight to c5. Can't really tell which one I like more. All like full queenside play though. I'm not even focused on the king side. I don't think there's anything happening over there. I will go ahead and make a good habits move. Keep everyone here proud. This rook can, go to d8 or b8. Needs to join the action at some point here. Ooh, that's a spicy move. Knight to h4. Damn. Credit where credit's due. Let's bring this rook most likely into the center. Knight g6. Probably just bishop f8 at that point. But yeah, I kind of expected knight h4. We'll drop our bishop back. And at this point, I'm just preparing g6. Queen f3. I would say that's another pretty good looking move. g6. There's knight takes h6. At this point, though, I'm starting to get interested in that move anyway, because I'm looking at knight takes h6, and that's already a threat. So at this point, I'm starting to get interested in g6 because I'm like, okay, the threats are starting to pile up here. There's no queen d8. At this point, I might have to play d5. All right, I guess it's like h5 or bust. I think we got to consider rook d7 and hand over knight takes h6, because I'm not at this point. I'm not really seeing a better way to handle knight h6. So I feel like giving knight h6 there to him made the most sense. But okay, knight h4. I guess continuing with queen f5 check. Dang, queen f5 check. My opponent is going like just whole hog here. What's occurring here? There's no respect for the king side anymore. Let's trade this bishop, I guess. Oh my goodness. Probably could have also taken that one. I think that was reasonable. All right, 8 seconds and a dream. Opponent's been playing just banger moves. Like, probably going to come all the way back here. Unfortunate timing there. But it doesn't even play it. I was going to say, could have stood a chance looking for a fortress there. Let's get a nice... Oh, I was going to say, maybe that's not the best pre-move. Let's see what we can do here. Ooh. Just crushed. Gotta hand it to the opponent, though. It was a nice game. I didn't really expect the moves to be that good. The moves were good. Knight h4. Gotta clap it up for this. As soon as Knight h4 started, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Malone Ranger. Right? Flip the board. Didn't we just analyze a game like this? And all I was saying was like, holy smokes. Malone, you're killing it, dude. Knight f5, queen f3. Do you remember? We were looking at a game just like this, and I was like, oh my goodness. The guy's just like bringing up bishop g5, queen g3. Now, obviously, not the exact same position, but I couldn't really think of a good move here because king h7 drops this, and there's no good way to stop knight h6. So at this point, we kind of had to blunder. Opponent didn't see knight h6, so it's like you could feel that he wasn't quite seeing everything, but he was clearly playing some strong moves. Knight g6, obviously not the best, but hey, he maneuvered the knight in for another threat. You could tell there was like good stuff happening up there. He wasn't seeing everything, mistakes were being made, but you got to respect it was a guy that clearly knew how to think of threats. He wasn't always doing it in the best way. He missed knight h6. Knight g6 is obviously bad, but as soon as he didn't have a threat, what did he do? He made another threat. He was like, okay, boom, knight e2, knight g3, knight f5. Like, as soon as there wasn't a threat, boom, rook d2, he made another threat. So unfortunately, we end up blundering knight f7, but again, he didn't play knight f7. And then at the end, I was even thinking, okay, there's some chances for a checkmate here. You know, had we been really locked in, maybe we would have found some queen c5. All the pieces might be able to get in for a mate there, but just couldn't quite make it happen in time pressure. And Vixra comes away with the win. So yeah, I'm mostly looking at knight h4, not this one, but earlier. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's where I knew that the guy was kicking it into gear, because utilizing this bishop, knight there, pretty impressive. Even when I saw b4, I'm not gonna lie, b4 is kind of a bad move. But when I saw it, I was like, damn, this guy might be up to something. So I credit Vixra here for this one. That was a nice game. Not completely nice, full of blunders, but as I said, as soon as there were no threats, Buddy was right back to making them. So just kind of a hard game to play with low time, because I just had to keep reacting to the threats there. Weeb buff. And what can I say? The weebs are definitely stronger than the French. My flag's not helping me here. No, we got crushed. Do you blame the opening? No, not the opening's fault. Just blame the GM. That way I can maintain that the opening is untouchable. So I'd rather take the heat personally. That way we can not blame the opening, and the speedrun can continue with no blemishes. Yep, tomahawk to it. That was a legit 800 victory right there. The opening cannot fail. It can only be failed. Wow. I need to save that quote. That's a good one. I gotta save that for all my speedruns. The opening cannot fail. It can only be failed. Well, there you go. I failed the opening. That's what we learned here. Thank you for that one, Latinum. We'll remember that. We failed the opening, but we still go onwards and hopefully upwards. All right. Not e4, but knight f3. I think knight f3 makes the most sense on move one, just to stop e5. And then, as we know, I like to organize our pieces like this. e4, and to be honest, a lot of people develop early with this move. I almost always like to play c3 or c6 against it. I really don't understand the move. So I feel like this, in case there's any tricks, is probably involving this knight. So I'm just going to leave it there and castle. So we've got our system here. Again, takes, we always take back with a pawn. At least that's my plan. He decides to push forward. Let's, for now, complete our system. Queen c2. Bishop there. Pretty much any move like that will always tempt me with knight g5. Just if I can get my hands on the bishop pair, that's great. If not, no big deal. But he'll have to spend some time moving the bishop in that case. And in this case, he doesn't. So I'm happy to take. Can activate our knight. Not only does it open the bishop, but also, very nice follow-up to knight c4 is going to be a4. Now the knight cannot be removed. Just a feel-good move of the year. And for the moment, this pawn's in the way, so there's not even, like, he can line things up here, but the pawn's in the way. So there's not a lot that can happen after that. I feel relatively safe. But as I just indicated, it's all relative. Let's keep pushing. Maybe queen a4 and make some threats there. I suspect that this is the intention. I think there's a b4 pawn sack in my future. I can feel it. Okay, there's g5. On its own, though, g5 is not that dangerous. Even g4. I'm not feeling the burn just yet. Okay, b4, knight takes on... Sorry, takes on c3, and then maybe knight d4. So, still wondering where our great breakthrough is. And I think I'm going to end up deciding to take... And I like b4. Probably my next move. Yeah, it feels like... hey, we're both sending it. Respect. You just kind of mutually agreed. All right, you sending it? Okay, cool. I'm sending it as well. I'm sending it as well. Is it time for b5 or should we play bishop a3? I'm not sure there's a big difference, so... I'm going to play b5 myself, and then bishop a3. Unfortunately, that move probably just loses. Even though there's rook c8, yeah, you can't really do anything about that. And actually, I think we could play bishop takes instead of queen takes, because if rook takes there, you lose even more material. And everyone's tempted by, like, taking a queen, right? Bishop down. We do have bishop to d6 here, forcing the king in the corner, which looks pretty nice, and with bishop e5. So I think we're probably going to go with that. There's bishop e7 as well, but I like the prospect of a potential mate in the corner, if I can arrange it. Who knows? Big Mo. Down a piece, but he's fighting the good fight here. Rook h6. Makes sense, definitely. Probably we should rescue this bishop. And what I might consider is bishop here, and then some kind of a6 and d5 checkmate. So let's start with this one. I'm assuming we're going to see b6. And then I feel like bishop b3 kind of lays the, you know, discover check kind of trap. So I'm hoping that we might get something here. I'd love to deliver a mate like this, but I really need that knight to move. So I'm holding out for this. I'm hoping that it can work. I don't know if I'm... Okay, we ran him out of moves. Now we can go with the queen, go with the bishop, and we finally, I'm just trying to wait until it's like, maybe there's almost nothing left. Bishop takes here, right? Gets one move to make, and then we finish it off. More satisfying that way. Oh, good game to Mo. I was just trying to wait basically until he had to move the knight. He didn't truly have to. He could have moved his other pieces, but it just felt like the knight would be his first choice eventually. What happened in the opening? We basically got our setup here, which we can be happy with. And by the way, when d5 gets played, we're well within our rights to take that. But for the most part, I like just castling. Let it happen, let it push, it doesn't really matter. We can play around it, as you can see there. We often target the c4 square for our knight next. And if I ever see the early queen, I pretty much always respond with the pawn because it stops knight d4, it unpins the knight on d2. But yeah, c3 pawn really dominates the knight on c6, so it's kind of a good feeling there. f3 was definitely stalemate. Yep. All right. Let's see here. e6, you guys know. Knight f6, you guys know. All right, bishop there. I'm done messing around. You're gonna hang that pawn, I'm gonna take it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Okay, we'll just take a step back. Could also go to c5, or could support the knight with bishop f5. But I just think that this is nice and simple. Okay, he's a sender, all right. Opening the H file right after playing g4 is that's a hell of a move, my friend. That's a hell of a move. All right. Let's see here. Suppose e6 makes sense. Could also play e5, but e6 feels very natural. And offer a trade here, of course. We're out material, so I feel like this trade makes a lot of sense. Queen f3. This could be very bad news for the opponent here. You can already see the makings of a free queen. Well, we didn't even need to do that. Yeah, knight e2 looked like it was always going to happen. And we'll take on f4 here, probably instead of taking, because now we win even more material. Or definitely better material. That's going to be it. I mean, there's not much to say about this. A lot of people hang their center pawn. I've gotten to the point where I'm past it. I'm like, look, if you're going to hang it, I'm going to take it. Simple as that. Simple as that. So what do they need to do here? They need to defend with the knight. And then we've had a position like this before. Bishop c4. Yes, this is the one moment. If you end up in this position where I would say be a little bit careful. So after knight there, if we're being honest, in this case, it makes much more sense to play e5. So this is true. Technically, I think e5, and I haven't necessarily been playing in this order in every game. So if I'm being real, I feel like this is what you need to play. Not because bishop c4 is like a big problem, but if you play e5, which you would naturally do because that's the system, you kind of run into knight g5. So if we're being nice and clean, e5 here, so that bishop there, we have bishop e7. And if d4, we just respond with knight d7 and transpose. So I'll try to make sure to play the absolute proper way, but for the most part, things have been transposing thus far. But as black, you have to be a little bit more careful when you play the opening. As white, it kind of doesn't matter. That's why you can get away with a lot more. All right, let's go knight to f3. Go d3, go knight d2. I don't know if bishop takes is on the cards, but happy to take back. And okay, we'll just there's the queen. People love bringing this queen out. It's so interesting. Was not expecting that. Especially because this queen move really, like, I mean, we're just rolling with the pawns now. Thanks for the tempi. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, we're very happy now, getting a lot of open lines. Remember, as soon as you play your opening moves in castle, we're pretty much expanding on the queen side anyway. So the fact that people are castling into it is phenomenal. This is exactly what we want to see. Okay, queen there. At this point, yeah, things are bad. Things are bad. I might even bring this knight in. Some extra support here. Queen takes, knight b5, something like that. This looks like it's gone from bad to worse. Oh, didn't quite see the bishop there, so that'll probably wrap this game up. And yeah, with this hanging, but I'm probably not even going to take it. Probably going to start with the queen, because I'd rather have the queen in front for threatening checkmate on b7. Yeah, this is obviously over. Take this. Bishop takes and queen b7 is checkmate in a couple moves here. So at this point, though, there's nothing that black can do. Like, you can be hopeful, try to play some defense, and this is a good defensive move. But at the end of the day, you're probably getting mated somehow. Let's go d4 instead of trading. I think I'll just do this one. Yeah, I know that knight c3 is going to be played, and we'll probably blunder that. So I was wondering whether to allow it, but obviously this move looks simple enough, and king b8 will drop this, which will eventually get you mated on b7. GG. This Philidor setup, very nice. Always like to go for an early c3. Pieces go like this, but of course, given the nature of the position that black just castled, I'm in no need to play slow with like queen c2, castle, anything. So I'm just going to castle and then immediately send it. Like tempo, tempo. Rook there is technically a tempo because this is a threat, although black ignored it. And then as a result, they just lost very easily because you've castled right into all my action over here. I don't recommend that. Okay, e4. Let's play d6, d4, knight f6, e5. We're okay with that line. So we see this. Now it's time for knight d7. This one is okay because if bishop there, we can play e5 and there's no knight coming in. So this, in this case, we play with the knight. But if the pawn wasn't there and white played knight f3, then we would play with the pawn first. Hopefully that makes sense. Here, we just want to make sure we're ready to handle knight g5, and so by castling, we keep it nice and defended. Castles, let's do a little bit of the same. And this might be the first time that we sort of reach the opening, like conclude the opening phase with a very standard position, honestly. I really think so. All right, I've noticed a lot of people are really interested in this knight h4 move. It's kind of surprising. In this case, I'm a little more skeptical of it because knight takes e4 is, yeah, I think it can be played. So I'm a little suspicious of this one. Yeah, I think probably just do it. I mean, knight takes here seems to be the natural answer to knight h4. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Knight h4, knight f5. A lot of people going for that. I wonder where they saw that. Okay, so queen g4, not capturing here, not saving the knight. I don't know what to make of that. That's quite the idea. If I bring either knight here, I no longer win the piece on h4. So I feel like if I want to win the piece, I have to continue like this. But then he clearly wants to play this. So we actually have some things to consider here. Honestly, not really sure what the best option is. So I'm going to go with what looks like probably the safest. Just go here, attacking the queen twice. So you better move it. Queen f3 maybe. But at least the knight is no longer attacked. So somehow, some way, the move queen g4 was not the worst that you could come up with. I don't know how he managed that, but queen g4 looked awful. I think it's actually kind of okay. I'm thinking this all kind of looks decent. This one brings the queen there. I'm not sure what to make of that. My impression is that after queen g3, d5, bishop h6, that we're going to win that position. So I'll play the moves that seem to invite it. Because I feel like he just won't be able to... yeah, I was going to say, I feel like he won't be able to resist playing bishop h6. So I'll play the moves that lead right on into it. Who could resist bishop h6? It's a fancy move. I can't take it because of the pin. Gotta respect that. Queen e5. I think it's time to take this one. And after queen takes h5, I do have two pieces hanging. So there's no way we don't end up ahead a piece here. I'm already up one. I got two hanging right now. Which one do we want to take? I'm not exactly sure, but if we got this hanging, it seems to make more sense to take that. Also, the knight on h4 is still hanging. Yeah, unfortunately, he drops that one as well. I think let's keep it a little bit more simple and play bishop back. We are dropping this pawn, but we've been dropping it anyway. Yeah, I think we just want to move this king, move this rook, and he does end up going there. Feels like bishop g5 was the reason that was not good. He walks into it. Mr. Stallone, it might be the end of the line here, my friend. Maybe f6, hoping I take there. I would respect f6 for sure. 5 seconds left. I might play f6 here. Oh, we're not going to get a move. GG, Mr. Stallone. What happened in this one? Make sure to get that move order correct. Just be very diligent. Take your time with the black pieces. Make sure you get it right. In this case, we attack the pawn, it gets defended. Here, there's no knight f3, so we don't have to worry about the pieces teaming up there because that's 1, 2, 3 moves before that happens, and I have 1, 2, 3 moves, and then I can castle. So because it's my turn here, I will always be able to get developed. The one line you have to be a little careful of is when they play knight here, and then knight here, and here, it's important to play e5. If you play knight d7, it's not a mistake, but here you just can't play the system properly. And okay, you'd have to play something like h6 and then e5. You could fix it and get there eventually. It's not the biggest deal, but for the purposes of playing the opening properly, e5 makes the most sense. If they play d4, then you go there. If bishop c4, you transpose and castle safely. If they play bishop c4 to start here, you're in trouble. So that's why we don't want to play knight d7 and instead here. And now if they play bishop c4, don't go knight d7, just play bishop e7 so that whenever knight g5 happens, you are ready to castle. And then everything's defended. And this transposes. All right, with the white pieces, the beautiful knight f3 move 1. d3. Knight d2, e4. Very standard so far. I like our early c3. Just take care of a lot of squares that the knight would want to utilize. Bishop e2 feels correct. He does go for e5. Okay. This looks like a potential queen c2 moment, along with castling. Castling looks fine. Knight h6. Definitely got me thinking about h3 here, but honestly, if the knight goes there, then I'll play h3. I mean, what's it really doing? Yeah, what's it really doing there? I'm not too sure. So let's go for queen c2. We got a b4. We got an a4 move, right? Time to expand over here. That's what we always do. Play these opening moves, castle, and then we just kind of chuck some pawns up there. Knight c4 is a familiar square. Let's play that one. Bishop g4. I usually wait till moments like this to play the move h3 and just kind of see what's up. He decides to keep the bishop, which probably makes good sense. This knight is really no good, right? The knight on h6, man, that's a tough looking piece right there. I think I'm gonna play knight e3 because I kind of like the idea of knight d5. Wow, that is aggressive. That is a very aggressive move. I will play knight here, targeting that pawn. I mean, queen g6 walks into g4, but I'm not sure g4 giving him 2 pawns for the piece and sacking like that. I don't even know if that's better than the very simple knight captures on g5. So I'm kind of thinking that knight takes g5 is going to be much easier to play, and that's the move I'm going to go for. No need to win the piece when there's going to be some counterplay. I'm going to take this pawn for free. Looks like a clear edge to me, and go from there. Taking knight e6, rook f7 does keep things defended, so I'm probably not going to wedge that knight in there too quickly. So I'm just going to take here and bring the knight back. It's possible he blunders and goes there, but if he plays the best move, rook f7, could be some trouble. Okay, he goes to f5. I suppose he's interested in that, but let's make sure to take this knight first and then grab on f5. That should be the best for us. Once again, nabbing another pawn. Okay, nabbing another pawn. I'm not going to stop. Check, yes, but maybe queen here might be a little bit better. It's hard to say. I think what I'm actually going to do is play it real simple. I'm going to check, and I'm either between knight there or queen g5, and I think queen g5 is just pretty dang good. I like this a lot. f4. Knight here takes, and knight c7 is going to be the threat. Also, if he plays king there, he's walking into knight f6 check. And this pawn is hit, so maybe we can play b3, but realistically, I don't think that pawn is terribly important. Let's go after this one, or maybe the very good looking rook d4. Completely dominating the knight, which is now trapped. I can just go ahead and pick it up. Not a bad fight from our opponent there, but unfortunately just didn't develop properly. Played knight h6, like nothing really looked correct. Okay, take this. Probably bringing the rook down to a7, hide our king. We have checkmate, and he's not going to stop us, so we're going to play it. GG crook. Okay, he decided to take. Not bad. Anytime I play d3, e4, and they take, I'm really happy to take back. And yeah, this, once again, is very standard. We do this every single game. at this point, I'm just shoving a4, b4 up the board. Knight c4, h3 in the right moment, rook e1 in the right moment. Probably going to play those moves within the next 6 moves. And yeah, we just rerouted this knight. I basically have such a solid position that I don't really need to do anything. You never see me in a rush to develop this and bring the rook to the center. You often see me just get to this position and then, okay, maybe it's time to reroute the knight a little bit, or maybe it's time to just expand with the queenside pawns. Like, the position that you get is so solid that you don't need to be in a rush to like do all the conventional things like completing development. No, this bishop can stay on c1 for so long. The rook can stay on a1. Not in a particular rush. All right, knight f3. Okay, and there's that e5 move. Unfortunately here, there isn't really an e4 to play, so we're gonna go straight into this. And our opponent is gonna play e5. God, it makes me sick that they get away with this. Especially because knight takes e5 here, although it's still fantastic. Technically, there's king d7 to play. So it kind of it goes down a rabbit hole. I'm not gonna go into it. Okay, bishop there. I will go into this rabbit hole, which is knight takes d4. And knight takes back on e2. That's just a simple tactic there. Good to know. If the bishop's not defended and you can grab something in the center, that works out pretty nicely. Okay, knight there. Let's castle. Knight into the center. I mean, he's interested in these trades. Sure. Let's keep the tempi up. If he wants to take here and let me take b7, be my guest. But he does not. He goes c5. Well, I'm not too sure how to respond. I think I'm going to play b4. But at this point, guys, you're up material. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Let's take. The opening has already set you up for success. Take. We'll grab b7. Looks like we're in a good position here. I imagine black's going to play the move knight e7. I don't really see why not. Yep. It does get played. Now what? c3 and d4 comes to mind. But I'm actually interested in keeping the king in the center, trying to prevent him from castling. So I think I'm gonna do this. Queen takes so that you can't castle. Gotta watch out for your knight. Buddy, wait a minute. You're not stream sniping and listening to me? You should have been. I was trying to warn you. Rook down to b7. I think with knight e6, we're close to setting up our checkmating pattern, but we're going to need one thing. What's that one thing? It's most likely an escape square. That's right. We can throw this in, but nothing's more important than the all-important escape square. Yeah, once we have this, it's all good. We can just bring the rook down and deliver mate. He's doing the same thing. Too little, too late. Rook down, and there will be checkmate here because the knight is covering the escape. So I think this will be a forced mate now, although we have given up the most important thing, the spite check. If he plays rook d1, we lose the game. It's a spite check. He resisted. And we're able to claim the win. All from the opening, really, on this one. I mean, yeah, we're getting our setup in, and we found a nice tactic that he made available to us after bishop g4. And that's just a good one to know. But had he played another move like knight c6, hopefully you would know how we would play the middle game here. Castling, c3, queen c2, maybe a4, b4, h3, maybe rook e1. And at that point, go from there. Maybe b5, bishop a3, bishop b2, take in the center, knight c4. Everything's very similar, right? So that's why I'm saying no matter what black plays against you, you should have a very good idea how your middle game will look, because it looks the same almost every time. Okay, e4, we play d6. We want to play knight f6. That comes next. And now, may just have to pay attention to what our opponent does. So if it's one of these two moves, then I'll probably play e5. Yeah, so here if I play knight there, knight f3, e5, knight g5. Kind of a problem. So I'll make sure to play this move, e5 first. Key. Now if knight f3, bishop e7. And if d4, although I could take, sure, looks fine. I think what I'm going to do is play knight d7. And again, knight f3, bishop e7. Okay, he goes ultra aggressive with f4. I respect it. Some other positions I talked about playing c6 against this, but now I suppose it's about time we played one or two positions where we take, because that will happen. People will play like f4 and d4, and at some point you might have to take. So let's castle. Knight g5. Not threatening anything that I really care about, but still a menacing move. c6 definitely comes to mind. Also thinking about knight b6, although bishop b3 handles things just fine. Yes, c6, h6. All these moves I'm liking. I'm liking c6 because maybe I would even consider just d5 afterwards. So those are the moves that are coming to my mind. Yeah, c5 in general I would stay away from unless there's a kind of a step-by-step situation about to happen where I win some material. So yeah, I might play just c6 here. This feels like a nice slow move. And yeah, h6 next. Definitely feels like it. Unfortunately, opponent blundered here. Maybe bishop e3 was a bit better, but we'll play d5 because we have bishop c5. A really nice thing to keep in mind, especially because a lot of the times when you take on d4, they will take with the queen. And if they're playing an f4 system, the likelihood of them blundering a queen like this is very, very high. Oops. And yeah, d5 will always come with tempo, so they'll never really see this coming or have any chance to react. Once you play d5, it just will lead to a win no matter what. Even if they see this coming, they play king h1, you just snag a free bishop, no problem. I have a feeling that we may be winning that bishop anyway. Yep. I have a feeling after we take on c4, we could be checkmating afterwards. I had a lot of feelings. My feelings were all correct. GG to JP Handy. That was only 14 moves. It could have been a much longer game, but we got some exposure to a system with f4 and d4. Yes, it's a lot of pressure on the center, but for the moment we can maintain with this. But as soon as that extra piece gets added, yeah, we take. And of all the pawns to take, I like taking in the center. Castling is necessary. We need to do this. Knight g5, c6. This is a really good move to play, and I think just the best move. I would recommend it at all times. There's so many reasons why I would play this. Let's say bishop e3 happens. I would play d5. I know it seems like a lot, but this is exactly the kind of activity that you're looking to get. White's not castled. We have d5, bishop c5. We're like coming in with tons and tons of threats here, and it's immediately working out. You mean the e4 pawn, Matt? Or you mean hold this pawn here? I guess so. I mean, white could play e5. Very much possible. Something like this could happen, which would be, you know, very, very aggro. Bad news here. If we take at this point, It's also probably fine, but I would say white's getting more than he deserves for this. So I think something like this, knight b6 or bishop f6. And at this point, I'm losing this pawn, but most likely getting c65, shutting the bishop off. And yeah, playing with bishop c5, knight f2, like just going for counterplay at this point. Probably knight b6, I would say. Okay, the bishop moves, and like at this point, d5 or even almost c5, c4 or c65. I think white has to be careful here. Bishop f6 with d5 to follow. King's still in the middle, so I'm even concerned about this queen check. But basically, white has to be ready to play a very wild game all of a sudden with e5. And with the king in the middle, I generally would welcome a wild game. Hello, Johnny Kebab. But we'll see, hopefully, a little bit more of that type of variation with the f-pawn thrown in there as well. Okay, we're going with knight f3 first, then d3, then knight d2, and you guys know it's time for e4 next. Okay, yeah, the early queen move, not particularly convincing. Again, as always, knight on c6, love to play the move c3. People are all over this knight h6 move. I think early I'm going to play this just because I can see that if he castles, he's going to be blundering. So that looks like a pretty smart thing to do. And now queen a4 kind of forces the king to go there. I don't know. It's just bad news all around here. d4, trying to play d5, but also trying to play bishop to b5. Nothing looks good. Everything looks dead lost here. I think knight takes d4 first. Makes sense, especially because if my opponent plays this, we can just take, and we're making the same threat again. But on top of that, we could also take with a knight, and then most likely win the queen. But this is a big problem here. I think black is basically lost. Okay. Opponent agrees. Always nice when you and your opponent are on the same page. Yep, but that was very easy because just target that pawn. There's no bishop there. The queen f6, knight h6 stuff is a very weird development. Shouldn't be successful. And we're a mere one game away from the promised land. All right, let's see if we can get there with the white pieces. Knight to f3. Guys know. Yeah, we've seen these before. Remember, on knight c6, guess what? We're playing c3. A lot of opponents doing this. It's almost going to be the same game. Kind of want to play queen b3 again, maybe. But yeah, c3 we like. It's a good feeling. Okay, he goes for h6. Very solid move there. On queen b3 now, technically things can be defended, like with rook b8. I'm probably still going to poke around there and just see how he wants to handle it. Because a lot of people just play b6. And once again, b6, you know, I'm interested in this queen a4. This is not something that... This is a tough position to be in. I'm going to play d4 once again and bring that bishop to b5. And opponent is just going to be crying here. Crying out for help. 2 times the exact same continuation was very successful. Let me take that with check. Probably going to take this just because it hits the queen. Although this rook is also hanging here. Okay, goes back. I'm thinking of probably just not taking that. My bishop is so strong here. I have a feeling we'll probably be able to get a checkmate at some point here. Yeah, just gonna kind of pile on in the middle and play e5. That has to lead to mate. I'm sure of it. I'm not even like calculating anything there. It just must be mate. Must be mate. This one first. Maybe rook here first. That looks pretty smart. And yeah, definitely e5 next. Very hard not to play that. Yeah, I think even still, we want to play this move, but pausing. Not concerned about knight c5, but more just pawn takes and maybe what happens after that. But I think this is a move you have to just play. You can't, as soon as you start thinking about it, you know, the first step to overthinking is thinking. So let's remove the middleman. Probably we can just sack the queen here. I mean, it's possible that he takes this, but it's very likely he takes the queen and provides us with a satisfying double check and mate, but maybe an even more satisfying double check and mate this way, not even taking the bishop. GG to Daniel there. And yes, of course we take KOs, not just for that nice checkmate, but specifically for hitting 900. This is a big milestone for us. This is a big moment. This game, again, we've been getting this position with white a lot. A lot of people are playing bishop g4 and just taking us. Hey, be my guest. I'm not doing anything to provoke. I'm not even playing h3 most of the time. They're just taking. Happy to take back. c3 I like getting out as my next move. I can castle at will, so I'm very safe here. And then I have been recently throwing this in because a lot of players don't react properly. They give away their light bishop, and then they play b6. And after queen a4, you're just in huge trouble here. You would run the procedure. You would start the procedure after this? Really? But I have a loss on my account. I'm a legit account. Can't run the procedure on me anymore. See Locohantis. Good night. Good night. Yeah, we've run into some strong ones for sure, but I think the opening has held strong. Remember, the opening hasn't failed, but I have failed the opening once. All right. Do we have another 100 in us? That's the question. Thanks for the resub there, Johnny Kebab, for 3 months. I see you. I see you, Johnny. Now you're off your game then, Shoe. You're slacking. You are slacking, my man. You got another 100 in us? Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Enzo says yes. No one else, just Enzo. But presumably Enzo speaks for the entire audience. He's been nominated, I suspect. The chat said, you know what? I'm fine if Enzo is the voice. Got accused of cheating today. Always very flattering. Damn, that's nice. So, were you cheating? I'm also very flattered when I flick on the engine and then, God, there they are. accusing me. God, feels great. That's the stuff, Johnny Kebab. Background, foreground. We're just chilling here. Nothing too serious, but working through some low ratings here, working our way up, trying to showcase how easy this system is to play. And we're at 900, but up till now, we've seen lots of hanging pieces and whatnot. So seems to be very successful in that regard. Hey ABD, it's technically called a Philidor system. An 18-month celebration from Airbus Driver 320. We don't have a special name for it, but man, it's nice to play. But yeah, the original setup comes from the Philidor, so very much related to that. The Big Phil. Not a Pirtz, no. Pirtz involves fianchettoing the bishop, so definitely a Philidor.
But that's not being used. Sometimes in order to be used, you also have to be humiliated. You have to be humiliated sometimes. You have to be kicked and beaten. And in that situation,
all right, let's see if we can go for another 100 here then. I was just redirecting some chess TV.
Love is an incredible thing, and we don't know love like we should. We always talk about unconditional love.
That I don't know. Choose true.
We don't even know it.
It's a good question. I'm hoping they stop soon.
You're not interesting to talk to anymore. But that real love, that love that sometimes is difficult to have, that's that love. And that's a confidence builder.
I'm leading the Stone League. Good. Good. What's up, damn? All right. Let's close out some of our games here today. I do string bean. It's probably why you just heard me say that I was sorting out some TV. There's only so much I can do. I can't really change it myself, but I can certainly let them know that we're over here instead. Thank you for letting me know. I was actually just checking it myself because I was like, I expect it to be, expect the numbers to be a little bit higher with that on, but it was not, I could tell, so I was just looking into it myself. Cheers, brah. All right, let's give another 100 to go here. We're gonna jump back in. We're over 900. See if we can hit 4 digits. All right, so D6 to start off. Knight f6. Oh, so tempting, the move e5, but not what you want to be playing as white. d5. Okay, d5 is definitely not a great move. There was a knight takes d5 tactic that we utilized previously, but here, unfortunately, after knight takes, we end up losing with knight c7 at the end, so it's not exactly a working idea. Bishop d3. Let's go h6. And as you guys know, I'll probably be playing this c6 move. Very typical for our setup. Okay, hang on. Now we're talking here. You guys are getting used to this idea. You just have to make sure that there's nothing valuable that knight could maybe hit at the end of the line. I don't see that there is, so it's making me think that we can just get away with knight captures d5. If bishop takes, we bring the knight back and take. And if he captures, we just take this piece on h4. So I think we can do it. And yeah, this pawn move to d5 is not really what you want to be playing. Okay. So far, so good. That was a success. Let's go here. Got a nice center. Maybe playing e4 as well. Problem I have with e4 is it traps his bishop, except for one square. So I'm kind of forcing him to find the right square. So a4 is fantastic. This is perfect. Because now I can play a5, and it's going to look like I'm just reacting to that move, which is a useful move anyway. But really, I'm setting up winning his bishop. Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, couldn't be better. Could not be better. Yep, that was very helpful. Set me up beautifully. Little alley-oop there. All right, g3. Got to put this queen on a safe square. Clearly, if we go here, I feel like the opponent's looking to play bishop takes, queen takes, maybe get a nice sacrifice going. So, you know, maybe you think about this. The problem with that is after c3, I'm not even threatening to take the bishop anymore. So instead of doing this, I think we just get it over with and take this bishop. Takes here, runs into even more problems. This pawn is just absolutely killing it if it makes it all the way there. Okay, so it probably makes the right choice. Now let's bring the queen up, and we have a really nice move, bishop a6. We also have this idea of knight e5. So I think we can put 2 and 2 together there, which should lead to a pretty nice outcome. We'll start with this because apart from this move, everything wins. Knight f3 is checkmate. Many ways to blunder. He doesn't. Credit to him. But now, once again, you have to guard that square. Many ways to blunder. We'll see what he comes up with. So far, he's been doing a good job. I think he might... Yep. I was going to say, I think he might find this, this move there. We can go d4, but honestly, rook e8 might be even more tempting. I think it'll be difficult to not see one of the, like, the f pawn surely has to be moving here. Okay, goes rook there. I think we will go d4. Looking to set something up. Knight to g4 will be the next move, I think. Because where does he put the knight? Knight c2, knight d1, I guess. Maybe he doesn't put the knight anywhere. Maybe he just leaves it there. That's possible. This is not pleasant. Knight g2. Let's continue with this one. This threatens h2 mate. And it threatens the queen. So there really is only one move here. Queen takes g4. He's going to have to sack the queen, which is not an easy decision to make. He might play knight f4 because it looks like, oh, you take my queen, I take yours. He takes here. He's actually getting more material than just queen for knight. He's getting queen for rook, but then there's a problem here, right? It's a clear issue. Check. And we've got the rook covering the escape square. So we can just head down here for checkmate on h1. GG to pawn star. Always supporting adults in the industry here. Go pawn stars. Head on down to h1 for checkmate. That's right, ABD. Come on down. Okay, on to the next one. d4. d6 is playable, but I like to play with the knight first. And oh, we have a London. All right, so let's, I mean, I think at some point we're going to say the guy's 900. He's probably been maybe 1,000 or something. Let's just get a London off the ground here where people are not hanging their knights. Like, I think we can do that. Like, that's not, there we go. That's not much to ask, right? And the thing about this is that the move e4, while it's also covered, is also never possible because it's pinned. So what I mean is that people are not playing h3 to keep their bishop. It's so valuable in this position to go for the bishop here, even maybe before we played the move e5. So I'm going to play knight here, and I'm curious how my opponent's going to react, but you will see playing this position without winning this bishop with either knight h5 now or later is way more unpleasant than taking it off the board. Okay, well, we didn't quite get it in the exact same fashion, but lo and behold, our opponent did manage to hang a knight on e5. You thought you would be wrong. We're back to basics, folks. 8-900s hanging knights on e5 in the London. We're 3 for 3. We're rocking a 100% record here. And at this point, this knight is not even really getting out of f8. I think I might play queen takes on h2. That's looking a little tempting, because maybe then I could rescue my piece. Yes, the knight can take h7, but I'm a little concerned about that move for him. So yeah, we can take this. Probably I'm going to lose this knight. Instead, I think it's kind of interesting to play queen takes h2. This is a Saving Private Ryan moment. Can we rescue the knight on h1? I don't know. I really don't. Time to develop this bishop, but I think let's just take here. Not king takes. Thank you very much. Queen d4 looks like a nice move. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm thinking bishop here. He's most likely going to castle, so trying to prepare for that, but nothing's really better than this, because if he castles, our knight can escape. And he might be thinking as mate, but I don't believe that's the case.
You're in my dream. Things mean everything.
All right, rook d2. I think knight g4, just getting out, is nice and safe here. We can bring the queen back at any point, even queen back to e5. I happen to really like. This move looks pretty reliable. And yeah, maybe rook d8 after queen takes h7. There's queen takes or knight takes e3, but I'm really focused on trying to trade pieces here. I have extra pieces, so trading is the absolute best path forward. And this move will trade pieces. Queen e4 is very much forced. We can pre-move rook to h1 check. Wait, what? Oh my god, he played queen h1. What the fuck? This guy must be so confused right now. Even I'm confused. This guy played queen h1. I don't even know what just happened there. What the hell was that? He's gonna think that's the most insane prediction of all time. Like, he played queen h1 and his piece just disappeared. Like, what? He made a move and his piece immediately vanished. Shocking, really. Maybe queen e1. Yes, a nice bait for my buddy here. I think I barely got the words out of my mouth. I think he's gonna play a3 and get mated anyway. GG. What a weird... I was so confused there. We played this. We pre-moved rook h1 check. And then this position occurred. I was like stunned for a second. Huh? Where does queen go? He must have been feeling the same thing. If I was confused, you know for damn sure he was wondering what the hell's going on. There you go. There you go. Nice win there. It was like seeing a magic trick. He was probably hella confused. Hey, buddy. I'm gonna grab that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I actually don't know when that happened. Could have been any time in the last hour. Oh, I like that. It was like seeing en passant for the first time. True, I forgot about that. Does everyone remember their first time seeing en passant? Wow, that must have been quite the moment. You just couldn't possibly explain it. Etienne, thanks for the 22 months, buddy. Welcome back for yet another month. Mr. Etienne. You had to Google it, that's fair. Now, chess.com added something where if you're playing a game, you guys might not know this because I think it's a more recent ad, and now you probably know how en passant works, so you just ignore it. But if you're a new player now, it shows up for everyone, but if you're a new player, you probably appreciate it. When an en passant move happens in a game, there's literally a pop-up now beside the move on chess.com, and you can click it to have en passant explained. Because so many people are probably like, bro, I'm done with chess after that. Like, what is this illegal move? Like, I'm out. I'm out. So now they have it pop up because they realize they probably need to explain it, or people are just gonna think that the game is like glitched for real. Thanks, brah.
I don't know which one is. There's a
Yeah, I don't think we got the same burger either, so. Yeah, I think that's yours. Almost guaranteed. Might want to zap it downstairs, but that's up to you. Yeah, exactly. I hear that. Don't want to disturb the roll. But at the same time, I'll make sure to fuel the engine a little bit. That's behind the scenes EU tour cameraman, Airbus driver. That should narrow it down. That's right, Casino Duck. Bringing back yeah, recall. That's right. You know how it is, ABD. Sometimes, you know, the boys on the squad, you know, suffer an injury. Got to get some quick legs in there fast. What's up, Tycoon? All right. Let's keep it going here. We're jumping back in. We're starting with knight to f3. Then we're going d3, knight d2, bringing the pawn up, playing bishop e2, playing c3. We've got our setup, always recapture with the pawn, so nothing new there. And queen c2 castle, right? That's pretty much the setup right there. Okay, an interesting idea. The guy's gone like knight g6, knight into f4. For that reason, I think I'm gonna get that bishop out. Not too interested in having the guy play all these moves and just like take my bishop when we can dodge it so easily, especially because knight c4 is, I mean, at that point, it's just like a free knight. Like knight c4, you might think is a discovered attack, but it's actually a free knight. Like by playing the move knight c4 against someone under 1,000, that's a guaranteed free piece. So at that point, it's not even a tactic. It's just collecting material. Okay, let's take this. Mainly I'm taking this and comfortable doing so because I just won material. So there's no pressure anymore, right? Like I'm more than happy to trade. So I'm thinking of rook here just to guard the pawn, but the more I look at the position, the more I'm like, we could just take, right? Why would we not trade pieces? Knight a5, I really like because, okay, he goes there, fair enough, that's a good move. I was gonna say knight a5 I really like because it seems to win an exchange, if that makes sense. Let's bring this knight here. And maybe rook d1, although I'll hold off for a moment. Bishop b7 is certainly a strong one. Our pieces are not coordinated that well right now. Like f6, we're gonna have to go like that. Probably take, but let's take and go back. Not sure this was the smartest. Maybe even rook c1 could be good. I like rook c1, rook c7. Yep. Whoa. That's quite an interesting move. Didn't expect that, but I'll take. And clearly he wants to get his bishop out there. I'll go here. Yes, giving up this pawn, but we already won a pawn over here, so I'm happy to give it back, especially because this is going to get some nice trades. This is my favorite trade where I get a bishop and my opponent gets nothing. This is my second favorite trade where I give a pawn and I get a piece. Apart from that, I default to actually trading things. Okay. I wonder at this point, rook here or something. I'll go knight to g5. Knight g5 is nice because when I threaten to checkmate him, especially if he plays bishop g6, then he's probably going to play h6 to kick my knight out. So now what's going to happen is I threaten mate. He's going to say, oh, no problem. I'll make an escape square. And then it won't work. Nice. We just we put him in a corner there. Read the lad like a book. Mon Hambleton, the 900 Whisperer. And we move on to the next one. This opening was nice, simple, right? Not doing anything too crazy. Definitely saw a different look here, and I'm not interested in allowing that to be taken, so I like the idea of moving the bishop no matter what. If I was already castled and had played rook e1, maybe I would drop the bishop back as well. I don't know. But yeah, in general, not too interested in letting this become successful. And once we play knight c4, our typical move, immediately make a threat, and I knew he was going to miss it, so. All right, we see a move that we haven't really seen thus far. c4 on move 1, but don't let it affect your setup at all. We can still go for the exact same stuff. I'll get it, move c6 in. It doesn't really matter the order, but c6, c5. Remember, if d4, just let it be. No need to do anything. We've seen this before. Castle. Okay, he just goes d3. Rook e8, like queen c7. We're going to go for our Standard stuff. Bishop g5. We'll play h6. And now my favorite, after the move b4, playing the move a5. If they take, we're happy with that. Their pawn structure got a little bit disconnected, a little bit worse. If they play a3, even better. That's pinned. Rook b1, take. And then b5 would probably get our knight into the c5 square. Let's do this. Bishop there. I'm going to go straight back. I know, feels like I'm wasting time, but look at my pawn structure and look at my opponent's. Right? He's got that disconnect here, so it means the a pawn is just a little bit weak. Just a little bit weaker. All right, let's play this. Maybe bishop back. I don't know. Queen can always slide back. Oh, I love the move knight c5. Looks like a move I'm happy with. Okay, queen d2. I think I'm gonna move the bishop back. Kind of expecting at some point knight h4, so I want to be in a position to play g6 against that. Even if it doesn't happen, I like just kind of opening up the rook on the e file. Like for example, now makes a lot of sense to have the rook opened. We can take that. We can also probably decline and play a different move, but I'm not sure that I immediately see the value in that. So let's take. The position has kind of changed a bit, so I think I'm ready to take this one. Time to relocate some pieces. I'm actually looking at g6. I really like that. I know it looks very weakening, so you know I can't even justify how this looks, but there's so many pieces in the way. I don't think they can get out of the way to any dangerous squares easily. And I'm ready to play bishop g7 or knight g4 next. I just really want to stop knight f5. That move looked annoying. Queen d1. I'm starting to wonder, like, where the heck the pieces are going here. What's my opponent up to? Yeah, we very much have a real game here. Totally. Okay, let's put the bishop here. I could definitely leave it on f8. It is doing a decent job on that square. It goes knight b3. Wow, that's an impressive move. Might have to take this one, but got to give it up to the move knight b3. I'm assuming this. I think queen takes would be not very good. I'll try queen here. I think we want to go knight d7 or knight g4 next. I moved the queen because I was not really liking rook a1. Now I think it is time to move this knight. It comes with a threat, which is nice. It's also defended, and maybe we're looking at the f2 pawn, looking at it funny. Bishop f3 kind of accidentally defends everything because it's making a threat here. So yeah, it does. It does actually defend everything, strangely. And if knight e5, we're blocking the knight. So I guess I'll just defend the knight for now. But one way or another, it did actually handle things. Looks like a very solid just game so far by Ollie. He's making some thoughtful moves. He's coming up with plans. Like, I think I like it for him. At a4, showcasing he was definitely aware of the potential issues in the position. I guess we're gonna take. Rook takes here and bishop takes. I don't like because it just, yeah, walking into a pin doesn't feel that good. So I'll take here. If he takes, he's really gonna be running into trouble. But knight takes, rerouting the knight would be the better solution. Unfortunately, he does make, I would say, his first significant blunder. But knight takes with knight d3, he would have been just fine. And man, when it rains, it pours. One blunder leads to two blunders, leads to checkmate, and what was a beautiful game from Ollie, and honestly still is. You know, he played well. Just ends in spectacular fashion in a matter of like 3 moves. Feels bad, man. GG Ollie. Yeah, he played c4. So we haven't seen c4, but as you'll notice, it has 0 bearing on our opening, so we're always able to just get our system out here, no problems. First like 10 moves of your opening taken care of, no sweat. Always time for an expansion. If it's b5, a5, if it's just a5, doesn't matter. Always got to get some queenside pawns going. c5 as a square we are very interested in. If white did not play this, I would have probably played a5 anyway, just to secure myself a nice square on c5. Maybe h6, bishop f8, g6. Same sort of stuff all the time. All right, let's continue with knight f3 first, then d3, knight d2, and then e4. Okay, we see d4 from the opponent here. Let's just get castled. If bishop g4, then I'll probably play c3 once again. We do see this move. I have a real habit of playing knight g5 against this move, because if you let me take, I'm super happy. Truly, I'm very, very happy to take. If you don't, then okay, you have to play bishop d7, which most people are a little annoyed by. So I think we want to go there. I might just take first and then c3. This is standard. We want to get our queen out. I'm definitely going to be looking at this queenside position that my opponent has. A little bit funny. If I can get this knight to move, bishop g4 wins the game. So I'm definitely interested in that. But for the moment, a4, a5 kind of looks like the way to go. Yeah, if he takes, happy to take back as always. This is a nice position. He's going to get the bishop out, but by taking, he gives me an open b file. I think this trade benefited me. Also, knight b3 does lose a piece, but I think after knight b3, he may not play that. And also, I don't really want to be allowing knight takes e4. So let's think how we want to do this. I think it's just going to be a5 first, taking away the square, maybe with queen a4 to follow. Looks kind of nice. Solid move there. Yeah, I do feel like queen a4 makes sense. It's kind of nice to leave the queen there. Maybe I dream of bishop g4 in the future, but yeah, probably not the way to do things. Let's go bishop a3. Don't think he has to take me, but bishop seems nicely placed if not. Queen a4 next, and then something to the b file. We got to use that b file. Goes queen there, dang. Okay, I think queen a4 here. Takes, we can take with the rook. We want to bring the rook over here. And who knows, there might be some big threats with d4 now. Especially if something's on the b file, I could see bad things happening. Yep, take this. That helps us double actually on the b file. And if you look at, you know, any kingside attack, it's not even close, right? Every single move that has been played in the game so far has been on the queen side. That's what I like to see as a queenside attacker. What? This is gonna need an explanation here. Not sure I get that one. We could also just retreat the queen. So maybe he was thinking we had to retreat all the way. He would win the rook. That's quite the concept. But we can block. We can play queen b3. I don't know. There was feels like there were many things we could have done there, so I wasn't too bothered. But yeah, quite the aggressive move, knight d4, especially right in the face of a pawn. That move, I mean, there are many things to do, but you're going to be hard pressed to get me to not exchange a ton of pieces. That is just way too good to say no to. Let me take that. You want to trade the queens? Let me take that too. It's a good move there. Let's play knight back just so we can play d4. The backwards knight move, maybe he thought was just retreating, but of course we also made a nice threat here that he did not notice. And that will most likely be GG. And it is Valerio. Sorry, pal. But an opening where you castle on opposite sides, and believe me, it's very common. We've seen some opposite sides castling, but make sure to play c3. Start rolling those pawns if you can. Queen out to a4 is always a killer. Maybe knight to c4, and just look, every move that was made on the board was on the queen side for us. I mean, by the time we made a move on the king side, we were just wrapping things up, already up a piece. So I feel like the moves we're playing are very consistent game to game, so very applicable once you know them. Okay, well, white pieces start with knight f3, just preventing e5. Players have definitely stopped blundering their e-pawn on move 1, so I'll give them credit. We just played this game. I'm sure we're going to get a different move here, though. Yeah, he decides to take. I'm always interested in the early c3. Just feels so nice with that knight there. Bishop e2, because anytime knight g4 is threatened, we just want to make sure that we have this move to cover, and we do. Should be okay now. Okay, he's going all out with that move. I can't really see a reason not to play b4 and a4. Okay, we're going to threaten to win the piece, which means he's obviously going to play this and prevent it. So let's go b5. Now the knight's got to move. Most likely knight c4 is our next move. And just on the queen trade, we have to be careful not to take with the rook, which would expose that. But instead, just take with the bishop. But yeah, queen trade will be perfect, right? We have under a little bit of pressure here, but queen trade will help out a lot. So yeah, let's get rid of the queens here. And once we get rid of the queens, I'm very simply going to play h3, because there's no way. Well, I can also take this, but I suppose h3 is fine here. I'm kind of curious to play this because I'm wondering how he's going to react. I think this is fine, but yeah. Once the queens are off the board, I mean, that doesn't exist anymore. You know, we're past that, I think. Let's take here. Threatening that, which can be defended a few ways, but also renewed by knight g5, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, I think this may be a rook d1 moment. But I think for now, we'll start with bishop a3, pinning the knight. Rook to d1 is going to hurt one way or another here. Goes c5. I definitely understand that move. He wants to have some safe squares that he can move to, like c7 for the king, which means I think we're probably going to take. You cannot take with a knight without everything falling. And by the way, when I took here en passant, I actually got a pop-up from chess.com. You guys, I don't think, could see it, but there is a full, like, it's specially marked and everything. All right, let's take this, because we've got this rook hanging, and we're just going to continue to trade every piece, because, you know, at the end of the line, we've got bishop takes rook, so this is completely winning. We didn't even win the rook for something. We won it clean. Knight takes c4, probably take another pawn, and then just bring this bishop back, and that should wrap up. Oh, actually, forgot we can win a piece here. Yeah, when you're playing 900s, you can't miss a tactic like that. Okay. And I think, no, he's gonna wrap it up after that. Opening fairly successful, and yeah, you're gonna have some positions where you're castling into a scary looking attack, but as long as you motor these pawns off the board here, you're one move away from a queen trade on offer. You should be totally fine, like not that scared. After this, it's like a queen trade guaranteed, or I'm taking this bishop, then maybe I'll attack the knight. Fake threats. I do not subscribe to the fear magazine that this guy is selling. It does ABD. Absolutely. Yep, everyone treated equally. It's true, Larito, but you might have played it by accident. Maybe you were just like hovering your pawn, you let go, and then a pawn disappears, and you're just like, wait, what? What the hell just happened? A little bit like the queen with that previous opponent. Okay, we're at 950. Let's see if we can keep it up. E4, D6. Plan always to play knight F6 after, and okay, D3. We're actually doing a very similar setup here. There's no bishop out on C4, so whether he knows it or not, he's doing a similar setup. I think he's going to include it with knight to C3 though. Okay, and he does take almost immediately. And here we go. Here's our setup. We're happy with it. Some sort of queenside expansion, right? Always on the cards. As soon as that opening phase of the game finishes, this is pretty much always what you want to do next. Okay. I'm not too scared of this, so I'm just gonna play H6. Nice, useful move. Maybe rook E8 next. All moves that we've played in other games, in other positions that are similar. So, like I said, pretty much nothing that we play is... I mean, the order does matter, but none of the moves feel terribly unique. Rook E8. Okay, I'm gonna play our bishop f8 move. I really do enjoy this rook e8 bishop f8 maneuver. Feels pretty nice. I might also recycle this knight to c5. We know how good a knight on c5 is. Even though our usual knight that goes there is not on the board anymore, I'll still do it. I'll bring the other knight there. Okay, he wants to offer a trade. I feel inclined to say yes. If we take, maybe the knight starts to get over this way. So what I might do is play knight c5, and if he wants to trade, I'm happy to facilitate. Knight back to c3 to defend the pawn. I can definitely expect that. I'm going to play g6 here. I'm really expecting the potential move d4, and I want to be able to play the fantastic bishop g7 when it happens. Yep. This looks very reliable. We have knight takes e4, so the move d4 was no good anyway. What else do we have? We have the bishop pair, so the move d4 was no good anyway. Lots of reasons why it was probably not the best, but we still expected it. All right, I think it's just knight takes on e4 here. The nice thing is, even some discovered attack on e4 is not going to be that effective because there's a pin on the rook there. Now we can maybe we can start the dirty work early. Bishop e5, you know, just setting up for that potential checkmate at the end of the game. We're doing our job here. b5, just working for that mate. Yep. Now pawn takes a4 looks great, but rook takes a4. Boy, that's something. Ooh, bishop here, which means obviously here he's going to go back, so we can take, and you know, we did our dirty work early. He ends up seeing it, so I got to give him some credit, but something tells me he might not see this one. GG to T Brewer. Nice game. It was a nice game. Yeah, he went for a very passive setup. The only thing that I see from my opponent here that's really just no good. Bishop g5 and takes for no good reason. Like, don't need that at all. You know, I see this guy right here. I'm like, okay, he's rocking a pretty safe, solid opening. You know what he should do? He should watch this goddamn speedrun and play knight d2 and c3. My God, he'd have a way better position. Because clearly he's not a bad player and he starts the game the same way. It's just bishop g5 is no good. Not helpful. And yeah, we just get the two bishops here. Before I even know what moves are going to be played by the opponent here, I already know that my short list of moves is probably 5 to 10 deep, and it's like rook e8, h6, bishop f8, g6, b5 if possible, maybe bishop e6. There's probably going to be other moves like d4 I know I'm taking, b4 I might leave it there or take, d5 I might play at some point, bishop here, maybe bishop g7 later. Like, I already kind of know how the game is going to look. And pay attention to how unbothered I was about moving this bishop, right? I'm active on the A file. I got this rook active here. Did this bishop need to move? No. What move are we on? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. And we moved on move 29 for the first time. And why did I move? To end the game. Developing that bishop on c1 or c8 in this opening is absolutely not a priority. So don't trick yourself into thinking you have to move every piece once to finish development in this opening, because it's not the case. All right, we do see c4 again. It makes a return. It's not really going to affect our setup, so we're just going to continue here. You can go c6 as well. Bishop e7, queen c7, castles. Okay, once we're castled, you guys kind of know what to expect, right? Usually a queenside move. As I said, if not b5, a5, probably just a5. We do get this move played, which means we've earned ourselves the c5 square. Pretty happy about that. I think we'll play rook e8, but yeah, we want to play knight there. And notice how I'm not interested in taking queen there. We're playing knight c5 guaranteed because the likelihood of knight b3 being blundered is very high. And even if it doesn't get blundered, I'm very happy with the move. So we're definitely going to play that. I think bishop f8 here looks fine. We have knight there, but it doesn't, I mean, it's just going to move the rook. So he's playing this move with the rook aimed at the king. Now, why did I play rook e8 and bishop f8? It's really to deal with this, whether or not it happens early or later. Like, clearly our opponent's in huge trouble here, though. So yeah, bishop f8 after rook e8. I mean, you can't be playing d4 after that. It just doesn't make sense. But what's the most likely way that the pieces get traded? It's very likely that at some point d4 gets played against this system. So if we ever take rook on e8, makes so much sense. So that's why we just do this early. Whether or not d4 has been played, it just still makes sense to have a rook laying in wait on e1 or e8 in this system. And he just walked into the absolute worst thing you could do. I mean, he literally played d4 with his king and queen lined up on my rook. Like, it could not have been worse for him. But hopefully you see the point that it's good to do regardless. It's not like I knew he would do that. I was setting that up because that's just smart to do. Okay, we'll give a check here. And I imagine king f1 might be played. If not, king g1 here. I think we might be looking at a checkmate pretty soon. Okay, and we are just going to win that material, and that's enough for him to throw in the towel. Say, you know what, not interested. Yeah, c4, you're going to have no trouble setting up your system against c4, so that's the nice thing. If you're just like practicing the opening and you see this, it's going to be like two ships passing in the night, no big deal. Play a5 every single game, pretty much. c6 and a5 is nice. Sometimes they might take, sometimes they might push. Either way, we have a nice, beautiful structure. And no way am I ever interested in taking. I'm interested in having my pawn taken and leaving the c5 square for myself. So if white plays knight c3, notice how my knight earns c5. That knight does not have any squares available. So the pawn on c3 and c6 is like one of my favorite parts about this opening, because the reciprocal knight just has nowhere to go. Okay, we get e4 again, which means it's time for d6. A little check to see if he's going to blunder with e5. He does not. Smart guy. After knight c3, we can't really play e5 because it's queen trade. We never allow that, so you know that the next move is knight d7. Now e5, and we're ready to take back with the pawn. If bishop c4, we have to play bishop out, so we're ready to meet knight g5 with castle. Hopefully you're starting to get used to the opening and how the moves happen. Bishop e7, yeah, pretty much any Anytime I see this like pin, just unpin with bishop there. Knight d5 is a nice blunder. I mean, bishop b5, I hope I don't need to remind anyone how obvious the move c6 is. We want to play it anyway. It was literally going to be my next move, but he just plays bishop b5. I'm like, okay, thanks very much, buddy. Thanks very much. Let's play queen c7 maybe. There's no knight g5 anyway, so at this point we're kind of home free. Gonna castle. And once again, all the same good moves getting on the board here. Castle. Yeah, I'm thinking about h6 as well. All right, a4. I think you know, especially because it's time to push pawns, that we're going to go with one of them. a5, definitely. h6. I'm curious what's happening with that bishop. Just curious. You can answer the question. Okay. It is possible that bishop b4 just wins a pawn here, like queen d3, takes, knight takes e4. But I also lose the bishop pair, and I'm not 100% sure that that's what I'd like to do here. Okay, rook e8 looks phenomenal. Rook d8 might also be a good-looking move here, just because of the lineup on the queen. But let's just keep it simple. I'll go knight c5. Yeah, like I said, bishop b4 is maybe a decent move, but I will stick more with something like this. For now, with e5 hanging, I think we need to do something about that. So I'm going to go here. I think it's a temporary move, though, because after rook e8, I'm probably going to bring the bishop back. And now my opponent should respond to this threat, which he kind of pseudo-defended by playing bishop g3 and making a threat of his own. But now, because he didn't do anything about it, I think we'll just take this. At least he did play h3, so, you know, bishop there still gives me a lot to think about. Most likely, I'll respond with rook here. Goes queen there. Definitely after winning a pawn, immediately we want to take. 100%. I'm a little nervous about playing rook e8 because I'm starting to be like, whoa, a lot of things ganging up on that square there. I'm not sure how much I enjoy that. So I have to kind of consider, how do we make e4 work, or how do we handle maybe knight h4 or something. Wouldn't say this is the simplest position. So I'm going to go here and try to play bishop e6. I think it's fair to admit that this bishop is too strong. That's a fantastic move. I pretty much have to play this. We were also pseudo, you know, defense and offense there, which I appreciated about that move. Let's go king h8. Now that he moved the rook away from that square, I'm a little bit happier. Unfortunately for him, f5 is quite good here. I see what he wants to do, though. Queen e4, bishop d3. Not gonna lie, I understand it. There's an unfortunate blunder waiting to happen here. Hopefully he doesn't do it. And he does make a bit of a better move. Yeah, we'll take. The knight is threatening. Oh, okay. He doesn't do it. Definitely should have done it. We'll play this. Knight there. There's all sorts of pins, but amazingly, I think he's actually covered in all cases. Maybe even take. I think I'll play this and like g6. Let's see what we can do with this position. Bishop g3 and takes looks good. I have to pick up the pace a little bit here. I like g6 though. That feels like a strong move. We can get this rook over a little bit. I think we're almost at the point where we want to get some pre-moves in. Hey, I like that move from him. That's actually a really good one. Let's do this. Kind of an advanced move, rook takes f4. I mean, it's a blunder, but it's sort of like an advanced blunder. Does that make any sense? It's a blunder that I wouldn't expect, you know, this guy to make. I'm proud of you for that blunder. Way to go, lad. GG, Philidor. Oh man, wouldn't expect you to make that blunder, so you know I gotta give him some credit for that one. Rook takes f4 is like, it comes from a good place. I don't know how else to describe it. It definitely comes from a good place, like kind of removing the defender so that you can take it. I respect it, but it is a mistake. It is a blunder. He would have done well to maybe play something else, but you know. GG, Philidor. How did the opening go? Pretty well. Yeah, we didn't make any mistakes with the move order. Bishop e5 is horrible. Maybe b5 and then a5 could be considered here, but you know, whether you get this move in or not, the ideas are all there. You can kind of choose the order a little bit. Yeah, I didn't mind this position. Honestly, when I took, I was like, I kind of regret that in the end. Like, man, there was a lot of pressure here with some knight h4 stuff that I thought was pretty good, but we did well. Kind of got out of it, played this, and at this point, we were sailing. I think we were covered. Almost is the operative word there, Chris Tamir. Almost. All right, knight f3. We continue, covering e5. Let's go e4. This is familiar, isn't it? Okay, they love to play this bishop move, but man, c3 is part of our system, so absolutely no problem at all. Zero issue. Bishop e2, castle. Queen c2. You guys can almost tell me what my next move is. Like, the moves are really that predictable. Black is probably going to decide to fianchetto the bishop because the only other option is maybe doing this. But one of those two decisions has to be made here. Because, yeah, this bishop has no home. Nowhere to go. c5, kind of delaying the decision, but I think we'll still... Yeah, I think b6 makes much more sense here. a4 and bring our knight to c4. Just securing that c4 square for ourselves. Very common idea. And also, of course, rook e1 and dropping the bishop back is another one that I like. So you guys know all the technology. You have all the information, all the tools. a6 will be an even better reason to play a4, so I will go ahead and do so right away. I was probably going to play it anyway, but seeing this and seeing the expansion idea, yeah, let's immediately get that covered. Now that I see this, still this move's not possible, but I'm going to take this moment to play a5. Okay, queen there. Maybe he was expecting a different move. I don't know. He seems all in on this, but it does not really work. And knight b6 is an idea now. Funny, you can get knight b6, rook a7, and then the rook is literally out of the game. Like, it's not playing chess. Completely trapped there. Okay, yeah, I think we will play this. It might be more of a temporary move, because although we force his rook to a funny position, yeah, like I said, you know, he has knight d7, so he can sort of deal with it. So even though it's very tempting, I'm concerned that it doesn't do that much. Still, we're going to play it, of course. How could we not? Anytime you force the guy to go here, you have to be pretty happy with yourself. Sorry, I spoke too soon. When I said force him to go there, of course I meant ignore it completely. And well, a free rook is definitely going to be more than enough. I'm happy with that. Obviously, he can win a pawn here, but someone once told me that a pawn for a rook is a good trade. I am threatening c4 here to win even more material. So he is gonna hand that over to me. One piece drops, another piece drops. Not that comfortable. Time's ticking. I mean, yeah, it's bad to worse for our guy here. Wanna play? Honestly, he's probably asking if he can, and I've been slapping him down with the answer no the entire time. He's just trying to play. I'm not letting him. Poor guy. And exactly, Casino Duck. Look at the bishop. I'm never in a rush to develop it. It's just not a feature of this opening. Yes, you can move it at some point, but there are so many useful things you can do with the rest of your pieces that don't involve that. Save it for when the time is right. Doesn't mean you have to leave it there until later, but you certainly can, and I make use of that very often. All right, we go knight f3. Again, covering that e5 square. d3, knight d2. And okay, our opponent's going for a fianchetto setup, which means there's not really going to be any struggle getting our opening on the board, right? Like I think we'll have a pretty easy time simply getting the moves out. As you guys know, once we get into a position like this, first of all, I always advise when someone's fianchettoing and then they're pinning your knight, h3 immediately, because they can never go back or they lose a piece. So immediately you get to know the answer, like are they going to take you or not? And I think it's nice to know. Okay, rook e1. a4, just a typical gaining space type of move. Okay, he plays this. I think I'm going to go queen c2. Maybe it was time to push, but I really like the consistency of this pawn on e4, so I'm going to keep it that way. Queen c2, part of our system, getting out of the d-file pressure, and also lending simple support to that e-pawn there. Okay, it goes here. I'm thinking of pushing, although not really any rush right now. Let's play bishop f1. Now the pawn is defended by the rook, so maybe the queen can move if needed. Again, not in a particular rush to develop this bishop, but it may finally be the time. You know, we're almost on move 15. Knight there, bishop b3. Looks nice to bring the rook over. The knight can't get in, but I imagine black's probably going to play something like knight e5. There it is. We'll take, and we've got this bishop on f1, fantastically placed to handle the move g3, guarding the h-pawn, maybe intending f5. After knight f6, definitely intending f5, or f4 rather, excuse me. Yeah, f4 and then e5 is should just be winning now. We'll have to deal with this, but hey, for an extra piece, I'll deal with it. I'll get the strength from somewhere. And yeah, in the end, there wasn't really much to that game. We had our pieces on good squares, and so the pawn moves just came easily. Hitting that rook, queen c6, we can just take a free rook. We'll be up quite a lot of material, and queen back. Unfortunately for our opponent, we can win even more material here. That rook is trapped. This game is a disaster. And yeah, there's probably many ways to handle this position, but I'm always a believer that trading pieces is the way to go. So I'm just gonna keep it simple. Just try to go queen d8 there. I get checked, offer another queen trade, not even gonna think twice. And yeah, happy to take. And we should be able to send our a pawn home here. Check. I think probably, I don't know, is f5 gonna gonna get me the checkmate that I want? There we go. Put him out of his misery here. Rook takes h7. GG. Stratagem. Anytime someone plays a fianchetto system against you, so if you're playing Grunfeld, Peertz, King's Indian players, you never have to worry. Your setup's going to be very easy to get, to achieve. So first like 10, 15 moves are kind of a wash. Anytime someone pins you with a fianchetto behind it, h3 immediately. You always end up getting your decision right away, which is nice to know. And then from there, we just went for the same standard ideas. Even this, don't need to overreact. Queen c2. e5 is a great move here, by the way. It really is. But I like to keep it nice and systematic. So there might be another situation where e5 is not the right move. I'd rather just have you play queen c2 every time. Keep the pawn on e4. We've become very familiar with this idea of tucking the bishop back. Also the idea of like random pawns up. It's finally time to develop here. This is a nice safe square. There's no trades. There's no knights that can bother it. So we finally felt comfortable, especially with the queen in the middle on an open file. I want to bring a rook there ASAP. And then, yeah, from here, I see the pieces want to come in, but a very logical follow-up to that bishop f1 idea, as we know, is g3, to maybe play bishop g2. So here I decided, let's start that right away, because I can see big expansion, and our opponent walked into a huge, huge mistake. Very nice. All right, let's go for it. e4, d6, right? And then we go with the knight. We always ask ourselves, is our opponent going to blunder with e5? In this case, dun 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 dun, yes he is. And his prize, he's completely lost in a couple of moves. I wish you all the best of luck in achieving your dreams in this opening. So many people play this. Let's play this so that he'll play h3 and help our knight out. That would be a little bit useful. Let's get developed here. Just waiting for my ticket out. Thank you very much. Okay, we've traded every piece in sight. We're ready to long castle. And what's the aftermath? We are ahead. Very clearly, an extra rook. That all happened because he played e5. I'm telling you, people are going to play e5 against you often. I wouldn't take him seriously. It is just a free win every time. Okay. I think doubling rooks on the open file is, you know, I'm never going to be messing up at that point. Yes, there's a free pawn here, but let's focus on trying to trade pieces first. Maybe he defends it. We get a nice piece trade. That'd be great. This, once again, looks like we're getting towards piece trades. I kind of prefer it to just winning a pawn randomly. I'm already have a rook, so not really too important. Yeah, again, hunting for rook d1 here, and he's had enough. He deserves to get beaten down there, guys. We're 1,000 on the dot. But look, I've had enough. e5, people play it often. It is terrible. It's so bad. They think they're like attacking the knight. They're going to get a quick win. No, right back at you, my friend. After this, they're completely KO'd. And you see how quickly the game is just 100% over. We're hitting the numbers on the dot. Surely that's a good omen. Certainly feels good, right? I'm not the only one. Just so satisfied by seeing 1000, right? Just feels nice inside. The 1K club, baby. So there we go. We'll leave it there for now. Made it to 1,000. Took an L. Wasn't smooth sailing. But hey, I think we continue to showcase exactly how the opening should be played, experiencing some good success with it. I think it's really easy to get to the middle game, and even once you're in the middle game, you are equipped with ideas from there. It's not like you're just stranded and on your own. You know, pretty much know exactly what you're looking for. It's not going to be a full recipe from start to finish, but I don't think anyone's getting to the middle game of this this system and then feeling lost. I would never want that for you. But yeah, lots of people making the same blunder. Early on, people were hanging the pawns in the center, just on like the second or first move of the game. Then I think we moved on from that, and people started hanging a piece in the center by capturing that pawn, and we moved on from that. Now people are blundering rooks in the corners. So I feel like we blundered a pawn, then a knight, then a rook. Hopefully the next guys start blundering queens. That'd be perfect. That's right, Tim. I think it's a solid opening, an easy one to learn if anyone is looking to like pick up an opening. I think it's very easy to understand. So I recommend it if you don't have one, or maybe you want to try it out, switch it up. Very easy to learn, especially if you're playing along with the series. You'll be able to improve in no time. Also, most people don't really play against something like this, so you have the advantage, as always, of being the one that knows what's going on. You know the ideas, you know where the pieces go, and they're the ones trying to keep up with you. But as we get up the rating ladder, we will slowly find opponents who play maybe better and better systems against us, or play the same ones but better, like same openings as low-rated players, but perform better afterwards, so give us more of a tough challenge. And in general, yeah, we're gonna get tested, so I'm curious to see if maybe there's some variations we haven't even encountered yet that we're gonna see more often later. But for now, we're seeing a lot of similar stuff, a few random things, but yeah, a lot of very similar systems. What do I play against it? Well, it's so strong. I'd have to play the same system. I'd have to play this system against this system. It's the only way to counter it. You know that. What's the most annoying thing against the stone wall? The stone wall. It's only one way to counter these speedruns, is by playing the same opening. It's the only answer. Copycat speedrun. Noted. One of the greatest speedruns of all time. So there we go. We'll leave it at that. Hello, Dustin. Same number in front of your rating. That's right. It's all about the first digit, right? That's what matters.
Sunrise wakes me up, the glowing pink and orange sky.
I think it's time to bring ourselves back to reality, to the KNVB account. But with the presence of, you know, elite and esteemed marblers, especially Eddie was lurking. I don't know if he's here anymore, but, you know, our chief counselor of marbles, Eddie, High Marble Sparrow, may indeed be lurking nearby. So I'm just saying, I could see the potential for the marbles to roll. Reminders. We do have our 10 sub marble activation. We also have, I don't have it on the screen right now, but I'll bring it back now that we're done our segment. There it is. Look at that. We're at 420. Oh, chef's kiss. Beautiful. I love it. That's our habit subs. All right. We're looking to raise 1,000. February's coming up. If we can hit it, then we'll bring back habits for a redo. So that's our count as it stands, 420. We've made some progress on it today. There's been some good support. We also just wrapped up our factor promotion. We had almost 20 signups, so that was great. We had some new people try it out and take advantage of that discount. So I thank everyone for their support with that. Asking for a friend. Hey, who's your friend? And the answer is no, Nitsid Prime. Just like, you know, subs can't come in for marbles and go to pro habits. Same deal. Subs need to be declared at the border, which is why some people come in, oh, dude, loving the speedrun, 100 subs, much love. You know, this is for the speedrun. And then other people are like, oh no, make those habit subs. It's like, sorry, bud, they've been declared at the border. They've been declared. Otherwise, I'm gonna have people come in from, oh yeah, remember in 2014, I was actually donating for habits in 2025. Gotta declare them. Oh, I'm gonna take a look at that, JL. I'm gonna take a look at that. Let's see. In the food channel, let's have a look. Oh, it's popping in the food channel. JL Pauls with the 2.5 minute meal. Love it. Hella says, anyone want to go halfsies on a marbles? Fair offer. Anyone trying to go 50-50, 5 subs a piece to get the marbles on the track? You know what? Regardless of whether we have 10 subs just to, you know, start the jukebox that is marbles, we know we need to be back on the KNVB account. So I need to switch back. That's what needs to happen. We need to bring back the KNVB account. Everyone's too well behaved, too professional, you know, with that account up. Oh, there. Speak of the cannon and he shall appear. It's Eddie that's notably absent. Let's bring up our account here. Oh, we have a taker, JL Pauls. He's having factor. He says, hey, get those marbles rolling in the background. Hella and JL. Say no more. Hella's straight in with it. He's hovering the 5. He said, hey, do I have a dance partner? JL says, yeah, I got you, bro. He's got the factor in one hand, rolling the marbles in the other. All right, we have switched. We are back. Let's bring them up here. Ooh, we got marbles with an update. Oh, you guys are getting brand new, fresh marbles as well. Like, I have to update it before I start? Damn, is there a new track being loaded in? Like, what's going on here? These are going to be the freshest marbles, the freshest tracks. No marble will have gone down these tracks. It's like a clean sheet of ice that you're skating on. You know? That just feels good. Damn. Hey, you got Lakeshore Boulevard. That's the OG name. Thank you for the 5, Hella. Appreciate it. How do you get in on it, the Texas one? Well, I'll tell you in just a sec. Don't worry. Won't start it without you. JL Pauls. Of course. Matchy Matchy. Thank you kindly. Hella. JL. Dance partners. Starting us off with a little bit of evening marbles. I feel like we had our dinner, which was, you know, focusing on our new system, our speedrun. learning a thing or two, and now we can have some dessert. Let's bring it up. Remember, we are on kick. We are on kick. Let's see what we got here.